20 years ago today, on August 19, 1998, the Orlando Sentinel made national news when it was one of the first major newspapers in America to call for President Bill Clinton's resignation. The president had been caught lying. He had butted heads with a special prosecutor. He generally acted, well, unpresidential. So the editorial board decided that Clinton lacked both the integrity and the decorum to continue serving as President of the United States. The stance made national news, and several other major papers followed the Sentinel's lead in calling for Clinton's resignation. But the stance also shocked some local conservatives, who were utterly convinced the Sentinel's editorial board always sided with Democrats in the White House. Those people were, of course, provably wrong. The Sentinel had a long history of backing Republicans. And I don't mean mostly Republicans. I mean only Republicans in presidential races. The Sentinel's editorial board hadn't endorsed a Democrat for president since 1964. But facts have never mattered much to hyper-partisans of either stripe. So conservatives who had been long convinced the Sentinel was part of the liberal media heaped praise on the newspaper. Many readers did. My prayer is that Clinton resign now and save our nation the further embarrassment of an inevitable impeachment, wrote one reader in the following days. I don't know which I am more embarrassed by, or ashamed of, wrote another, that the man who is the leader of our country is a liar and a cheat, or that so much of the American public appears not to care that he is. The general consensus was that no man who lied and acted undignified should remain in office. That was the general view. 20 years ago anyway. Portions of that famous editorial follow. August 19, 1998. Step down, Mr. President Bill Clinton not only has made a spectacle of himself, but of the nation as well. It's time for him to do the honorable thing and resign. The issue is not about sex. The issue is the standard expected of the office of the President of the United States. And the question today is whether Bill Clinton is capable of maintaining either the integrity or the decorum to continue in that office. What's clear now is that he stretched the truth in his deposition and that he out and out lied when he spoke to the public. Even after all that, the country seems ready to forgive, if not forget, and move on, if only Mr. Clinton had addressed his problems more forthrightly. But he squandered that opportunity, shifting from contrition to combativeness. When the president chose his path, his moral authority shrank. When he subsequently misrepresented what he had done, his moral authority disappeared. No one should mistake this, either, as just an issue of Democrats and Republicans, and it shouldn't be allowed to become that. It is about what this nation expects from its president. And it is the presidency and its moral authority that have been the real victims in this case. Yes, the economy is good. And, yes, although there have been some bumps, there have been no disasters in foreign policy. But how much more baggage must be left by the side of the road? How much more will the American people be asked to put up with?